Hello world, this is my continuing story of me moving to Japan for the job to work for the US military on base. This is a really long process, and I hope that if you are going to go through this or you're interested in going through this, that this information is helpful to you. The first part of this journey was getting permission to actually go to Japan because Japan was in lockdown. They were not letting people in. So the US military had to be like, hey, Japanese government, we've got these people that we need to move in. And Japanese government is like, well, is it really necessary? Because, we got this lockdown going on. And the US military is like, yeah, it's totally necessary. So that's the travel waiver. I get a nice travel waiver. It was actually two of them. One's in kanji, looked really cool. The other one was from the command itself. Next, I need to get a negative COVID test 72 hours before boarding the flight. We all know about this restriction. Which test to get? Oh, I don't know. I got the 15-minute rapid test and it was completely acceptable. Now, here's the thing about my story that's a little bit different. I had to dodge getting COVID to make sure, excuse my hair, vanity. I had to dodge getting COVID so that my test would come back negative so that I can actually get on that flight. Because if my test came back positive, I would have to do the whole, being sick and going into quarantine. Now, I know that I am fully vaccinated, but at this time, the vaccination was geared towards making sure if you got COVID, it did not become a severe illness. It wasn't necessarily about full stop on spreading the virus, so that would be amazing. Just this type of vaccine, it was about severity of the illness. Now, since then, we've got some new real world data coming out that it is full stop, no spread of the virus. Phew! But at the time, I didn't know that. I just knew that there was a chance, a possibility. This is an evolving situation. We don't know. So I need to dodge getting COVID so I can get that negative COVID test because I'm getting on that freaking plane. The problem with that is where I live in Southern Oregon, don't think about Oregon as a nice blue state who's really rational and they're Democrats. No. Southern Oregon is a whole bunch of Trump supporters, super Republican, and they actually want to break off from the rest of Oregon and form their own little state called the state of Jefferson, where they can live in Republican bliss. Anyways, basically what that means in terms of COVID is no one believes in COVID. No one believes in the mask. Everyone believes that their civil liberties are being affronted by being required to wear a mask. And isn't this just horrendous? At the same time, these same people are all going, oh, racism isn't real in America. Black Lives Matter are a terrorist group, and everything that's going on in Portland is a riot. On that note, I'm just going to say, if you call what happened in 2020 either a riot or a protest, I think that's very indicative of which news station you watch. But moving on. So I have to go into work every day for my job. I can't do a telework. And I'm working around people who don't believe in wearing masks. Even though there's a statewide mandate, even though there is a work mandate, VA healthcare facility, 100% mask mandate, I work with people who refuse to wear a mask. And without getting into the details of everything that went on and how they were able to get away with not wearing a mask, the fact is we had 3 to 4 different COVID outbreaks in the time that I was there with people that I work with every day. And I say 3 to 4 because one of those outbreaks, they couldn't quite figure out if they can attribute it to a workplace outbreak because maybe they all got it from each other while they were at barbecue last weekend. I don't know. Anyhow, so I'm dodging getting COVID at work. Then I had to dodge getting COVID at the hotel. Move out of the RV, go into a hotel. The first hotel I went into was Best Western. Now my 10-day reservation was set up at Candlewood Homes and Suites, but my RV got picked up a couple days early, so that was a couple extra days in the hotel. I went to the Best Western in White City. No one wore a mask. Staff, other hotel patrons, no one wore a mask. And I go to Candlewood and they were better about the masking, but I did consistently see this one hotel employee who always had it kind of like down by her chin and going in and out of rooms. So I put up the do not disturb sign on my door and just did not let anybody in my room, and I just had to dodge getting COVID at the hotel. The last place I need to dodge getting COVID is out in town. Now, 90% of the time when I do my shopping, it's going to be at Walmart. I do it on the app, I drive up, they put it in the back of my Jeep, we're done. Contactless curbside service. Love it. Greatest thing ever. However, there is this ladder I needed to get and Walmart didn't have it. So I went to Lowe's, and when you walk into Lowe's, it has the appropriate greeting station. It has the masks and the sanitizers and all the right signage, and you have a greeter there telling everybody you need to wear a mask. So as everybody walks into the store, they have a mask on. But once you're in the store, in the space of 5 minutes, I passed 4 white people with no masks on. Not even like under their chin, just no mask. Just took it off once they got in the store. So you have to dodge getting COVID anytime you need to go forth and do anything out in town. Oy vey. It was really, really stressful. I got infected with tuberculosis. If I also got infected with COVID, that would be an incredibly bad illness. Okay? So not just for the fact that I want to get on this plane, but also for the fact of my own health and wanting to not die. And I'm surrounded by people whose definition of civil liberty is, I want to do whatever I want to do and you can't tell me any different. And at the same time, I want no consequences for my actions and how I affect all the other people around me. So all the people who were spreading COVID because they refused to follow any of the precautions, they had no consequences for their actions. And that's bull. I managed to dodge COVID and I got that negative COVID test. How did I get my test? Well, I get my primary care through the VA, and they do offer the testing Monday through Friday. I needed my test on a Sunday, so I went to an urgent care center. Did not need a referral from my doctor. All I had to do was just make an appointment online, and it was free to me. So the way they explained it to me was the first COVID test was free, and then if I came in for more COVID tests after that, like my second, third, fourth COVID test after that, this is not for medical procedure. This is not for, suspecting that you have COVID. This is just me on my own wanting to get myself tested. After that first one, I have to start paying for it. But that first one was covered, and I'm really pleased about that. Yay! Yay, federal funding. Thank you so much for doing what you're supposed to do. Cheers! So next, I have to actually get on the plane. So I'm flying with AMC, Air Mobility Command. This is through the United States Air Force. What is this for everybody who's never heard of this before? Well, Air Mobility Command is a civilian passenger jet, and they use it to fly military personnel about the world. It is operated by the Air Force. So since I'm on travel orders, I get a seat on one of these military passenger jets, and I'm flying with a whole bunch of other military personnel and their families who are also PCSing to Japan. So I go to the airport and I check in with a couple of airmen, give them my COVID test. They do the, temperature thing, and then I'm cleared to board the plane, and I go through the rest of the boarding process. Once I get to Japan, we fly into an Air Force base. The Air Force does customs, and they did our ROM briefing, restriction of movement. Military can't just call it quarantine. They got to come up with their own catchphrase and give it an acronym. After I was all done with that, left the airport. I get picked up by my lieutenant. Sitting in the car, I sit in the back seat because I'm considered a plague person at this point. And he checks me into the hotel. I do not go inside. And when we go to my room, I take the outside stairs. I'm not allowed to go through the lobby at all. And I go into my room and I stay there for 14 days. The only times you can leave the room is in the middle of the night to do laundry or to walk a pet, and only one family member at a time can walk the pet. So while I'm in ROM, I'm supported by my command. They provided me with some groceries and some fresh food, and I have a little kitchen in my hotel room. In addition to that, I can order things from the NEX, the Navy Exchange. It's like a little gas station convenience store. And then I could also order from any of the many food places on base that delivers. And what they do is they come to my door and they see that I'm in ROM by a little sticker that is on the door. Plague sticker, plague person. This is a plague room. So things are left at my door outside. They knock on the door, they leave. I come to the door in a mask, I pick it up, zero interaction with anybody. So I just stayed in my room and it was boring. It was very boring. I did not bring enough projects. I knew this was going to happen. I had projects. I did not bring enough projects. I honestly think I bruised my tailbone from the amount of time I was sitting. Anyways, ROM is over, and on day 15, now, when you're counting your days, you have to remember the day that you fly in is day 0. The first full day after flying in is day 1. So, on day 14, I went to get my COVID test to get cleared to leave ROM. And I'm negative on the COVID, yay! And I get this letter back. Now the letter says, I am cleared to move about the base, but I cannot leave the base until day 15 of arrival, the next day. And in terms of me being fully vaccinated, why couldn't I have a short ROM? I don't know the whole policy. And if I was to go to work, I would be in the same office as somebody who is not vaccinated. That's not a good situation until I'm fully cleared by medical. So no short ROM for me just because I'm vaccinated. That could change, or that could be different, depending on where you're going, depending on the evolving situation. That's how it was for me. And then that was it. I got my negative COVID test, I got my ROM letter, I gave the Navy Lodge a copy of my letter, and we're done. We're good to go. I am free to move about the base, and on day 15, I was free to leave the base and go out in town into Japan. That was basically it. That's COVID. All right, cheers, peace and love. Bye.